Welcome to the weekly Health RX by Arvasi. I'm Dr. Avanti Kumar-Singh.
And I'm Dr. Sethi. We're physicians trained in modern medicine and experts in Ayurveda. And each Sunday, we cut through the noise with physician-led, science-backed prescriptions personalized to your biology.
From your hormones and gut to your circadian rhythm and nervous system, we'll help you take care of the systems that matter most so you can stop guessing and start feeling better. Finally, medicine that fits you. Hello and welcome. This is your weekly Health RX for the week of March 8th. I'm Dr. Avanti Kumar-Singh.
And I'm Dr. Sethi.
And this is our fourth week in the mood series when we've been talking about anxiety. And you're going to notice something a little different starting today. Starting this week, we're bringing everyone into one conversation. No separate episodes by dosha. Just one episode, all of us together in one place. And we made this change for two reasons. First, to make it simpler. You get one episode, you press play, and you listen. We'll have timestamps so you can skip to your dosha-specific answers if you want. But honestly, we'd really encourage you to listen to all of it because you'll hear your experience reflected in constitutions that aren't even yours. And then you'll also understand the people in your life who have different doshas or different constitutions a little bit better.
Right. And the other reason, which is one we're really excited about, is that we really want to focus on building community. We've heard from so many of you that one thing that keeps coming through is how much it helps just to hear that other women are going through this too. Not just your dosha, all of them, the anxiety, the irritability, the is this normal? We want you to hear each other and be with each other. And we want to be with all of you. So what hasn't changed though is the science. The prescriptions based on your personal biology, the dosha-specific prescriptions and protocols, the dosha-specific answers, that's all still here. You're just getting it in one place now.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this. And I'm really excited that some of the changes that we're making are because of what all of our community is telling us to do also. So we're really excited about that. And speaking of hearing each other, one listener wrote to us this week and said, last Thursday was pretty bad, but by Friday, I did my practice and I felt a little bit better. A month ago, a Thursday like that would have wrecked my whole weekend. I would have been spinning over it, but I really was able to shift. And that bad day didn't, spill over into numerous days. I was able to recover a little bit faster because of the protocols. So that's really exciting to hear.
No, I really love that because it's really all about that kind of progress and noticing how it can shift. And we have some announcements before we start our episode today, is that two things that we're so excited about. One is that over the next 2 weeks, Avanti and I are hosting live sessions. Live with us. And we're doing this because the world isn't slowing down. And we want to give you something we can't give in a recorded episode, which is real-time support and each other. And, this is really about tending to your nervous systems together in community in a moment when honestly community feels more important than ever. So we'll be sharing all the details with you about that. And if you aren't able to tune in live, you'll get a recording, but we really hope that we can be with you. So stay tuned for that.
And the second announcement that we have is that after these live sessions, we'll be starting a new series on focus. Because many of you have told us, my mood is better, but I'm still having trouble concentrating. I don't feel like I can hold the thought that I just had and really, communicate it. I walk into a room and forget why I'm there. And the truth is that if you go looking for help with focus and concentration, there's no short of advice out here on the interwebs, right? Productivity hacks, supplement stacks, just eliminate the distractions or just breathe. That's what a lot of people will say. Most of this advice treats focus like it's a willpower problem in isolation. But that's not how we work. It's not how the traditions that we draw from have ever worked. In Ayurveda, the framework has always been systems first. rhythm, digestion, sleep, attention, environment, meaning. The nervous system sits at the center of all of it. And what modern wellness is now calling cutting edge nervous system regulation, we've been doing this for 5,000 years with breathwork protocols, structured daily routines. And these all reflect the principles that have existed for thousands of years in Ayurveda. It's really this idea of balance over excess, prevention over treatment, and rhythm over intensity.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope you all heard that, because it makes such a difference to understand that you can't really do anything in isolation when it comes to health. You know, this whole push through and thinking about willpower, it just doesn't work. And you realize that things like focus, you can't concentrate when your body thinks it's in danger. You just can't. You can't hold a thought when your stress cascade is firing. And all the mood work you've done is actually focus work. You just didn't know it yet. And the focus work that we are going to do together will build directly on this foundation. So let's get into the Q&A.
Now, before we get into the Q&A, let's just do a little quick recap of the past 3 weeks, okay? In week 1 of this series, we showed you why your mood shifted, the worn out brakes, the sensitive thermostat, and then you saw your specific pattern. In week 2 of this series, you got your pattern interrupt protocol, and you really worked with that. In week 3, we talked about the news and media and scrolling and your media prescription and this idea that everything is food or ahara. 3 weeks of building, recognition, tools, and then here's the shift. But here's the truth. Anxiety doesn't just disappear. Recovery just gets faster. You catch it a little earlier. The brakes get a little stronger. And that is the transformation. It's not about getting rid of the anxiety. It's about recovering faster from the anxiety.
Exactly. So let's get to the questions. We're going to focus on 3 that we got this month. And we're going to let you know the dosha of the subscriber who asked it. We're going to give them their answer. And we'll talk a little bit about how it may show up differently for other doshas as well. All right. So the first question from a Vata listener, she said, the anchor works, which was the Vata prescription. I feel calm, but 20 minutes later, the anxiety is right back and I'm starting from 0. So, first I want to say I really hear you, right, Avanti? I mean, that sort of, am I doing it wrong is that kind of general kind of question, right? And I want to say first that you're not doing it wrong because you're not starting from 0. So remember, I think this really goes back to what Avanti just said, that, the anchor or whatever prescription we give you are not cures, they're regulation tools. So Vata anxiety in particular comes in waves. Your mind generates new worry thoughts the way your body generates new breaths. And as a Vata Pitta, I'll tell you, it can be as fast. And so the goal was never elimination. The goal is, just like Avanti had said prior, faster recovery, right? So before this series, you might have gone from one spiral directly into the next with no break at all. And maybe now you actually had that 20 minutes of calm that you actually described. So that is actually progress and not doing it wrong. Wouldn't you say, Avanti?
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's such an important point, again, is that it's about the recovery. It's not about getting rid of the anxiety. And, here's another suggestion that you might want to think about is that instead of waiting until you're at a 10 out of 10 on the anxiety scale of how you're feeling, maybe use this anchor, this protocol, when you're maybe at like a 3 or a 4 or a 5, not waiting till you're at a 10, because what might be happening is that you're waiting until the anxiety is so overwhelming and the cascade is so fully active that, this practice, this tool actually has a bigger anxiety wave to overcome. So when you practice this, when you're a little calmer, it actually could, maybe help you decrease that anxiety a little bit more. So you don't feel like you're, having anxiety, doing the protocol, and then having anxiety again. Maybe you can just start to turn the volume down on the anxiety if you use the protocol a little sooner. And actually, another way to do it is just to make it part of your regular day, like little touch points throughout the day. So, we carry these phones around with us all of the time. And so why don't we use them for our wellness? So put in a little alarm, maybe 3 or 4 times a day. And the alarm, you could name it on an iPhone at least, breathe, or, anxiety practice, or the anchor, or whatever. And it'll just trigger you to say, okay, let me just take a moment to stop and do this practice. In this way, you're kind of regulating yourself and you're training yourself to use this protocol a few times a day.
Yeah, I love that. And I really think, if you're listening and you're not a Vata, it really is advice that goes for anyone. If you think about it, if you're a Pitta, you're really thinking about catching that heat before it's too far progressed. So, before you actually have so much heat in your body, you might notice that physical signal that we talked about for your dosha, the jaw clench or the hands tightening, whatever it may be. And so just realizing that, prevention can really be an approach rather than treatment when things are far ahead. It doesn't mean it can't work. It just takes longer and it can be harder, which can be frustrating for you.
Yeah. And so I think that, just remembering again that, the protocols we gave you are really for in the moment use. But maybe what we're saying is also you can regulate it by just putting it into your daily schedule with an alarm or a reminder, or maybe you do it every time you eat or before your meal, or, have some kind of a trigger in your day that reminds you to do this. And I think what you'll start to see is that you're training your nervous system to relax in response to this protocol, but you're also giving yourself those touch points to calm down, to turn the heat down, to turn the activation down for yourself. So yeah, that's a great question.
I agree. All right, let's go to the next question. And this one was from a Pitta listener. I love this question, by the way. It said, breathing exercises aren't going to fix what's wrong with the world. This feels like a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. You know what I'm going to say is you're right. Breathing will not fix the world. And I mean, I think that's why, we tried to say over and over that, this is about managing yourself in the world, not fixing the world. But I'm with you. Like sometimes I get these kinds of protocols or prescriptions and just feel like, oh my gosh, this cannot help the news that I saw yesterday. Right. And if, just at the time that we're recording this for you, things have even escalated further, and it just feels like it's always more and more. But here's the thing is that, what breathing does fix is your capacity to act on what's wrong. And that distinction is really more important than you think, right? Because you as a Pitta dosha, if your Pitta dosha is unregulated, you burn out. It happens constantly. And it's not because it isn't reasonable. Like the cause is just. It's a really inciting world. It's a heat-provoking world. The anger is righteous and it's reasonable. But the problem is within 6 months, you're exhausted and resentful and less effective. But regulated Pitta dosha is a strategic thing. It's sustainable. It's actually not less angry. I don't want you to be less angry. It's actually anger that can be put to purpose, and anger that actually allows you to really do what you need to do to make change. And I would say that includes not just going to a protest or protesting policy or calling your congressperson or whatever your protest is. It also means knowing when you need to rest so that you can be more effective the next day or the next week. I mean, change is really multifactorial, but we can't do any of it if we're actually not regulating our own nervous system.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this is a big one for me also as a Pitta Kapha, because I alternate between being really upset and angry and furious, and then feeling overwhelmed and sort of wanting to numb out and avoid everything. And the Pitta part of me, sometimes it's so easy to just be on overdrive and respond and respond and respond. without any breaks. And then I find that I burn myself out even more. So I am really listening to your advice right now too, because I'm feeling very activated right now, especially again, at the time of this recording, everything has escalated even more in the world. And so, yeah, I'm feeling a lot right now, a lot as we're recording this.
Yeah. And I would say that I'm also listening to what I just said, because no matter what your dosha is, we really want to understand that none of us are of any use to ourselves, our families, to the world, if we are burning out. And so the way that this Pitta listener asked is really applicable to all doshas, right? So, it's just a way to remind all of us that our nervous systems are very important in how we not only receive news, but how we function day to day.
Yeah. And again, it's ultimately this idea that a dysregulated nervous system doesn't help you show up in the world in the way that perhaps you want to, right? This is about, again, resourcing ourselves by, giving our nervous system some regulation and some calm and some care. So that's really what we're trying to get at here. Okay, let's move to question number 3. A Kapha listener wrote in and said, I actually felt something, genuine sadness, and it was almost a relief. But then the heaviness came, and I'm just wondering, what happened? I have to say, I was so happy to hear this because, Kapha, it can be very hard to break through sort of that stagnation, that sort of feeling of heaviness, right? And the fact that somebody wrote to us and said that she felt something, that actually, even though it was sadness, she was feeling something, that's amazing. Because what happened here is that you are feeling something, and that is better than feeling nothing or feeling numbness, right? Sadness actually means that your emotional system is actually coming back online. That freeze is sort of lifting, the fog is lifting. So what's really happening is that the practice is actually working at sort of a deeper level than might be, totally obvious right on the surface. And so I just really want to encourage you, if you're a Kapha, that if you are feeling, something, even if it's sadness, that is actually breaking through the heaviness, and that's a good thing. And the important thing here is that when that feeling breaks through, let it move through you. Cry, write, go for a walk, dance, tell someone. Don't push it back down. Don't numb out again with the phone or scrolling. Feel it. Really allow it to move through you. Feeling is actually the medicine. And again, that sadness isn't a setback. It's a sign that your emotional body is waking up and coming back online, which is really, really important.
All right. So that's our mood series Q&A. We love getting questions and we love hearing from you. So thank you. Thank you. And before we close, we want to talk about integration, because you have these tools now, the pattern interrupts, the media prescriptions, right? You have all of that, but don't try to keep everything going. Practice what actually lands for you, the boundary that shifts something, right? And listen to the episodes again, because you'll hear things the second time that you might have missed the first time around. And even more excitedly, I will tell you that you can bring all your integration questions to the live sessions. That's part of why we're doing them. We want to hear what worked, what didn't, and what you need support on. And we want to do that in real time together. We're really excited about that. So we'll be sending those details out for you. Remember, it's not always that the transformation is that everything is all better. The transformation sometimes is even just noticing what you need support on. So come to the sessions and, let us give you that support. And remember, everything you built this month is the foundation for when we start the focus series after the live sessions. So hopefully we'll see some of you in those live sessions. And until then, be well.
Thanks for listening to the Weekly Health RX by Arvasi. Be sure to subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen so you never miss your weekly prescription.
And make sure to take the Urvasi Dosha Data Assessment at myurvasi.com, linked in the show notes, so you can unlock your biology and get your own personalized weekly prescription.